Spaniel Field Trials by Bernard R. Castellani. Springer Field Trialer, Judge, Bird Planner, Pheasant, and Dog Breeder. Eastern Springer Field Trial Association Task Force Report. Conduct of Field Trials, 1993. Ed Robenkamp, Chairman. Quality of birds. Clubs should endeavor to buy birds from reputable breeders that consistently produce birds that are healthy, strong flyers. Such breeders should be able to provide birds in adequate number with minimum stress. Clubs should share information concerning breeders and history of breeders to help each other determine which supplier are providing the most consistently high-quality birds for trials. Saving a few cents per bird can be very short-sighted if it results in a large number of birds are picked up without flying. The cost of the club will escalate dramatically and the overall quality of trials will be adversely affected. Clubs are encouraged to alternate hens and roosters in the third series since roosters tend to run more than hens, this providing a more display of tracking ability in the third series. Bird planning. Perhaps no other single job can have more detrimental impact on overall trial than inexperienced and improperly bird planning. A knowledgeable, capable bird planner can save a club hundreds of dollars. Clubs are encouraged to share the names of individuals who will plant trials for a fee and can do it in a quality manner. Interclubs are encouraged to conduct seminars on the art of bird planning and the practices which affect the success of planning. Most of all, planning should be consistent and fair from dog to dog within a series. If planning practices are changed, the change should occur on the conclusion of a series. Recognizing the difficulty of finding experienced planners in sufficient numbers, clubs are encouraged to use four-wheel drive vehicles outfitted with bird boxes that will not drop feathers or bird scent on the ground. Such boxes can also be fitted with roofs so that during inclement weather, the birds are kept dry. This can greatly increase the chance of a successful trial even in the pouring rain. The box area on a four-wheel drive vehicle shall be fitted with complete floors and trays to catch all refuge. Use of a four-wheeler has another advantage in that it allows the club to place the bird crates further away from the end of the course, which is a significant advantage in the conducting of the trial. In case where planners still walk using vests, they should be carefully instructed not to lay the vest on the ground on the field of competition, therefore creating hot spots which confuse the dog. Handling of birds. Perhaps no subject is more delicate to address than the handling of birds. First, let's address the handling of flying birds. Having strong, aggressive, flying birds is both good for the trial game and fairness for the birds. The stronger the birds, the better chance of behaving like a wild, natural bird and either running away or flying strongly. The best way to provide strong birds is to provide adequate supply of food and water and to catch the birds as near to the trial time as possible. Clubs should make sure that the birds are kept dry and covered during inclement weather. When, during inclement weather, the bird crates are covered, care should be taken that the crates are adequately ventilated. Often, in an effort to be fully organized, the birds are caught up too early. This is a poor practice because it means birds are in close confinement for long periods of time. The best possible practice is to catch the birds on the morning of the trial. Multiple crating, such as transferring birds from the crate of the grower to a secondary set of crates, unduly stress the birds. The birds should be handled the least amount. In all cases, Minimum stress. Stress, the key word. A cooling down period. Birds should have at least 1 hour to cool down after being caught and boxed for field trials. Transferring birds to ground. Birds should be protected from the force of the wind caused by vehicle movement down the road. Possible dark storage area is very helpful. Store birds away from people and dogs. Don't drop bird boxes. Don't bounce bird boxes when moving from plant to plant. Remove birds from the bird boxes and bird vest on the center line with a careful manner for less stress on the birds. Basically, Springer and Cocker Spaniels are air-scenting dogs. These dogs are usually orientated to airborne rafts. He is characteristic and his head is held high, and he looks as though he is searching for the air currents for his evidence. These dogs may completely ignore the ground deposits and move in on airborne scent from the tracks. Air scent dogs follow the increasing level of odor intensity until the dog has homed in on its source. This type of dog has the highest discriminating potential as they most consistently discriminate the clue odor from the surrounding environment and determine its point of strongest concentration. Planters should have a basic knowledge of scent. Scent, where does it come from? An understanding of scent. Bird scent are vapor breaths of dead cells, constantly being emitted from the bird. They become airborne scent, raft vapors that move through the air by the wind and bird movement. Next, we're going to cover the mechanics of bird planting. Here are some 10 points. Downwind, upwind course. Crosswind, down crosswind, and up crosswind course. End of course. New course. Reverse direction. Judges must follow planter's course change system. Single dog series. Where to and where not to plant. Course layout. Tree line, end of course. Upwind, downwind course on a double beat. Left gun's path, about 25 yards to the center gun's path on a flag line, 25 yards to the right gun's path. Handler and dog A, judge A. Handler and dog B, judge B. Left beat, right beat. About 40 yards between flags. Planter in a four-wheel drive vehicle, drive up here, stop, help her get out. Or the planter, the driver himself will get out, take a bird out of the box. Be very careful not to cause any scent to be drifted in this area here, where he takes the bird out. Walks directly in, looking for a good place to plant the bird as he goes in, and not wander all over the field. Plant the bird about in the middle of the beat, walk directly back, up to the next position. Both planter and driver ride in the vehicle. Go directly in, plant the next bird, walk directly out. Planter's path, straight in and out. Don't wander all over the field. crosswind course, cross downwind course, cross upwind course. Left gun, center gun, right gun. Handler and dog A, judge A. Handler and dog B, judge B. Planter in his vehicle will drive up to the first position. Take the bird out of the box. Be very careful there's no drift. From the bird, causing bird scent to be drifted onto the course. Walk directly in, looking for a spot as he goes in so he doesn't wander all over the course again. First bird is planted in about the middle of the beat. Do not plant it over in this position here. The dog has to have the opportunity to cup the wind to find this bird. After you planted the bird, walk directly out to the bird planting truck. Get in the bird planting truck, or vehicle, drive up to the next position, walk directly in. Now we're on the high side of the wind this time. You want to get the bird as far into the course as you possibly can, to the right. Further into the path of the gun's path. Plant the bird, walk directly out, back out again, get into the vehicle, and on to the next position. Planter's path, straight in and straight out. The wind direction, remember the wind direction is blowing across here. Plant this bird in this position over here, too close to the center line. This dog over in this beat here. You smell that bird, go over here and flush it. And before the handler has an opportunity to stop the dog, flushes the bird, and probably call for poaching, and he's on the trial. Also, if you get too close to the center line of this bird, the dog does not have an opportunity to cup the wind. The dog is not going to be going right to the center line. He might come short. And the bird's on the other side of his swing. He's not going to smell this bird. So remember, this bird on the high side of the wind, remembering the wind direction, has to be way over to the right. Pretty near where the gun path is. End of the course. Again, the guns, handler and dog A, judge A, handler and dog B, judge B. A beat, B beat. Now we're showing here a crosswind, wind direction. Now we got to remember, if we're rolling birds in, there's going to be a certain scent drift. This side here, there's not a problem because the wind is coming across here. This is the next to the last bird being planted. If it drifts in here, that's not a problem. It may be a problem where the dog spends a lot of time on a drift and doesn't really find the bird. Gives the bird a little opportunity to move. Now, tidal winds, which are full of moisture, have a lot to do with the way, affect the planting, I should say. Affect the set drift on a rolling bird. You're up here in the last bird planted. Again, it's a crosswind, so you're going to be way over in here. If you roll that bird in this position here, with tidal winds, which are full of moisture and keeps the scent rafts alive, You can have a drift way over in this area. You might even get it over this position, which entices this dog to come over and bust this bird up. So rolling birds in on a crosswind is very, very delicate situation. You can cause a lot of problems. Last you had the end of the course. Now we're going to start a new course. We're going in the reverse direction from the first end of this course. We're going in this direction. Last bird was planted under handler and dog B, Judge B. The first bird has to be planted under handler and dog A and Judge A. A good rule to remember: the last bird was planted on your right hand side as you're going down the beat, down the course. The first bird has to be planted on the right hand side going down the course. Right to right, left to left. Right to right, left to left. Another consideration is the wind direction. You keep the same wind direction, either down cross, up cross, whatever, or crosswind. For this dog, he has to be on this side over here. For dog handler and dog B and Judge B, they have to come right across down on this side. They have to keep the same wind, or it's going to be a disadvantage in the second series for one of these dogs. Going to have the same wind on the downwind side of a course, which is a disadvantage. The judge must follow the bird planter's course change system, keeping the same wind and the bird spacing. Now, if you plant the last bird here, for Judge B, dog B, handler B, and you plant the first bird on this side, B dog gets two quick birds. A dog goes over here, he goes from here all the way down to here to get his first bird in that course, a new direction. In the reverse direction course. He ends up way down here someplace with his first bird. Two quick birds for this dog. A long beat for dog A. So remember, right hand course. You put your last bird. You turn around, you come down this course. You put your first bird on the right hand side. Right to right, left to left. Judges, stewards have to pay particular attention to this course change system. The judges, though, remember, the steward should keep this in mind, and as they change course, make sure the judges are on the right beat position. Handler B, handler A, dog and judge. Right to right, left to left. I see this being done much too often. It shouldn't be, because you're giving a disadvantage to this dog here, or this dog here. It all depends which way you end up. Single delegate series courses. Puppy, third series, amateur, open, all age stakes, fifth series and national. Right now we have a flag line here shown. The left gun, the right gun. In other words, we're going to work from the flag line to the left gun. We show a crosswind here. Now there's been some conversation and with different opinions which way to come in. Come off the flag line and plant on the high side of the wind, or come from the low side and plant. Right or left. My experience has been the left side is a better place to come in. You have about the same situation in a double beat and a crosswind. The jury may still be out on this one. Well, watch your trials. See which side of the beat is less problems with the bird planter, more bird production. Coming in on this side, the bottom of the wind, into the wind, or going downwind with the bird. My opinion is, and majority of other people, not a big majority, say stay on the bottom side of the wind and come in. My personal opinion, as a judge, I don't particularly care for a crosswind course in a third series. Plant birds out here, you really can tell what length, what ability the dog has with his nose, how fast he gets to the bird, lifts his head up and drills this bird up in here. It's really a lot easier test for a judge. It's a lot easier to compare dogs. How many casts this dog makes in here before he finds a bird. How far this dog stays, the distance between his casts. And how he finds the bird. The show's right up in front of him. It's a lot easier way for a judge to separate dogs. You got a bird planted here in a crosswind, you know, how much nose can you show? Bird planted up in here, the dog really has an opportunity to show his nose. Because the wind's coming down this way. Okay. I don't know where a magical 40 yards apart came for a brace work. There's nowhere it's written. I know as watching trial over in England, England Nationals, I should say, and they spread corn every 40 yards. 40 yards in this beat, 40 yards in this beat. So maybe that's where it stems from. You have to separate the birds. 40 yards sometimes isn't even enough. You can retrieve from this beat to the other beat. You flush another bird. Anything less than 40 yards makes for a sloppy trial. Birds run all over the place. And it does really give you an opportunity to test the dog's stamina. Okay, so the first bird, we're coming up 60 yards. Putting the first pin at about 60 yards. Sometime it might be 80 yards. That's what you're doing in brace work. You're hit a bird about every 80 yards. Second bird, 120 yards. Now, how are you putting a bird down? The bird flushes when you're planting it. replant the bird in the same spot. Don't put it here and put another bird here. You're creating some hot spots. The dog might be fooling around this one here, or the bird flew away here, you put another bird in here or whatever. You might have a passed bird. By fooling around with the hot spot where the bird isn't, you might step on this bird here. So replace the bird in the same spot. The thing to do is when you're walking in, look for a spot before you get in there. Don't go wandering all over the field. Find a good spot and put a bird down. Cut down on the birds being flushed in your plant. Now let's take another situation. A bird flies in the course. It planted itself. Not really. My experience is when a bird flies into the course, it's pretty riled up and it doesn't stay where it lands. It's going to make a beeline because it's all riled up. It's scared. It's going to look for a spot where it's comfortable, but it's not going to stop in a spot where it landed. Very simple. The other situation is you come around and plant, and lo and behold, there's the bird that you planted last time around. Now that bird stood there. Chances are that bird's going to stay there again. So you can count that as a plant, walk back out again. You have to remember what the conditions are, what the setting is, what's happened during the day when you make this decision. Now that bird books out on you, and you don't put a bird down, one of these dogs will be at a disadvantage. And you don't want that. You're trying to make it fair for every dog. So it's a situation where you're going to have to make a decision at that particular point there. But you got to take into consideration how the birds are holding that day, what kind of cover you have. But never when a fly-in bird. A fly-in bird is a no plant, put another bird down. Tidal winds and winds effect on sending conditions. We got a wind direction going across like here. Off tidal water, full of moisture. Gives a long longevity for vapor rafts, which dogs scent. They don't dry up and disappear. They just last and last and last because the moisture allows them not to be dried up, and it's keep their potential for as a scenting situation longer than a regular day's hunt. This can also happen on a very damp day too, but tidal winds have a real big effect on scenting conditions. One that you have to be very, very careful with. Right now we're showing a planet with a vest, which seems to be affected more by tidal winds or moist days and crosswind situations. A planter's vest, which allows air in to keep the birds alive, also allows vapor rafts to be released. Birds heat up somewhat in the vest, causing more vapor rafts. The walking motion of a planter acts like a salt shaker on his vest, releasing scent. But at certain days, if the moisture is correct or right for the situation, there's a big distraction to the dog. This dog on the lower crosswind side constantly got his nose into this situation over here. One thing I've seen done is planters taking the bird out of the vest and walking up this line. Then coming in and you're causing, and the wind's catching this bird as you walk. You're causing a direct line to this bird. Keep the bird in the vest. You get to this position, take the bird out very, very carefully, not to create a hot spot that's going to blow in this area, disrupting this dog, being a distraction to this dog. When you walk in, remember that you're a salt shaker of scent. Walk directly back out again. Don't walk all over the field. Don't take shortcuts to the next bird. Use the center line. Dog catches you in here, especially on a crosswind. Upwind is a different situation because you got the movie right in front of you. The bird's here, dog has a chance to smell it. But there's cases when, in certain covers or certain days, or just an ordinary day, the bird plant in the grass is emitting less scent than this bird planter that walks through this area. We've all seen dogs come up, running back and forth, come up to this position here, and make game. They're not on a runner, but they're doing a herky-jerky motion in here. And finally, they come up to the bird. That's because they're being distracted by this release of scent from the bird planter in his vest. Or a bird planter coming off the vehicle and not covering the bird with his arm to shed the bird from the wind and keeping it as clean as possible. This dog on this side, he's got his nose constantly to this. Gets to this position over here, and this bird isn't planted far enough over before the handler can stop that dog. He's got nailed for poaching. Hot spot scent drift. Directly in, directly out. Straight in, straight out. Straight in, straight out. Stay on the center path. Do not take the bird out of the vest until you get in this position right here. The reason why I say that, there's a little bit of scent being when you take the bird out. You don't want that happening here, creating a big hot spot where the dog concentrates on it and the bird moves out. We'll go into this a little later about hot spots. Scent drift on a rolling bird. Now we're back to that again. We're using a four-wheel drive vehicle here. We got our wind direction and crosswind coming across the course. Now you're rolling the bird. Now if you're rolling the bird here, the drift is going to come across into the other dog's beak. Now what dog does it affect? Some dogs don't even know about this drift. The dog with the better nose is going to pick this up, come crashing across. Before the handler can stop this dog, flush this bird. Poach it. He's out of trial. Plant this bird to the far end of the beat, the right end of the beat here, right in front of the gun's plant, the gun's path. Keep it away. Don't distract this dog over here. Don't make this handler keep fighting this dog to keep away from that center line. Over here, if you're rolling the bird in this area here, in the middle of the beat where it should be, remember you're going to get a drift. Dog might start playing around with that drift in a rolling bird. Meanwhile, this bird has an opportunity to move out. Bird crates. Got to talk something about bird crates. Bird crates which have wire on their sides. in a four-wheel drive vehicle and the wind is blowing through these crates is causing a great amount of drift in this area. The wind coming across here. If you have crates that have wire sides where the wind can blow through them, put a piece of plywood, make some plywood sides, do whatever. Make sure the wind does not blow through these crates. You're causing a great amount of scent drift. A definite disadvantage to this dog here. He's on. You're driving him crazy. It's not like an ordinary day's hunt. It's not a true test. And the dog with the better nose is the one that's going to go the craziest, generally speaking. I can't say for every dog, but some dogs don't even know this drift exists because their nose is not at that caliber. So to find the best dog on a trial, planning has to be as clean as possible. Don't leave any hot spots. Watch out for scent drift. Watch what you're doing on your crosswind courses where you plant. And if you're going to be shifting crates around with a four-wheel drive vehicle, do it at the end of the course. Don't do it in the middle of the course. Then you're going to cause a big drift in it. You're going to cause a bomb. Dog fools around with that bomb. Meanwhile, the bird has a chance to leave. It's just not good bird planning practices. Plant the trial as clean as possible. Make it like an ordinary day's hunt. As much as you possibly can. And we're not the plant. We show the landscape, the dip in the course, goes back out again. Here's your flags, you're running this way or this way, it doesn't matter. Don't plant in this gully or a hole, whatever. The wind coming across here causes, like swirls, rolling of the wind currents. The cover may be moving, but the wind might be coming down this position here. It's not blowing through here, believe me. So a bird planted in here, the scent's probably being blown down. You probably have a little backdraft. The wind flag looks like the wind's blowing this way, but actually the wind down here might be going this way. So pace yourself. If the bird in this position here, it might be 35 yards instead of 40 yards. It might be 65 yards, whatever. But avoid this area here. Not many birds being found in this situation here. Remember, we're trying to make it a fair test for each dog. Now, when you plant a bird in here, you're not making a fair test for this particular dog. Layout course to stop well short of a tree line. Tree line course, into the wind course. Run in this direction here. Good yard of 80 yards from here to here, to the last flag. Wind coming across here creates backdrafts. The wind is going in circular motions as it rolls over the rolls in this area. The wind is blowing the scent down this way. It's also creating a backdraft. What looks like up here at the flag looks like we're going into the wind. Actually, is a downwind situation. So stay it's just a poor sending situation there. We've seen dogs on retrieves where when they should be acting like they're going into a wind on a retrieve, actually cup the bird because they're downward and they realize that the wind is a downwind situation. The cover is moving around. It looks like there's plenty of wind there, but it's not. It's a swirling motion. It's a down draft. The wind is blowing down or this way. It never really gets down into the cover where the bird may be lying on a retrieve or on a plant. So stay well back on a layout of the course, still way back from the tree line. There we go, we're still on course layout. I got two courses laid out, course 1, course 2. Flag line, flag line. Wind direction. Okay, on course 1, as the wind comes across, it ebbs. Has a swirling motion in here, same as before with the last sequence we showed. Got a cover is moving, but it's only the tops. The wind is not getting down in here and blowing through. It's a disadvantage for dog A. Poor sending, no wind or little wind on the lower side. Right here, you're getting the, like I say, it's a downwind situation here. The flags are this way, up on top where the wind is. But the backdraft, so, you know, if you have to get in this situation, plant the bird way over here someplace. Not to the bird planters. I mean, the best thing is don't lay out a course here. But don't plant it here. Oh wait, hell. Okay, we go over to course number 2. You got the same advantage for dog A and B. The wind's coming across, going through the cover, good sending. Now we're talking about a crosswind here. Into the wind situation would be no problem here. But a crosswind is definitely a big problem. Don't lay out a course this way. Okay, here's another variation of a tree line. Wind direction coming across, swirling again, backdrafts. Definitely effect on sending conditions. There's a disadvantage for the dog A. Here we are. This is the center of the B course, I should say. Dog B would be over here. Dog A over here. Stay away from this tree line. You get a retrieve in that area. Very, very difficult for a dog. No wind, backdrafts, swirling. You don't get a retrieve in that area. You got to give the dog. Judges have to give the dog some allowance for cupping the wind. Don't. It looks like it's an into the wind situation, but it's not into a wind situation. It's a downwind situation here. Down, swirly. It's just a difficult situation. Plant birds in this area here. You can use more birds. You're not being fair to every dog. Move the course over. Stay away from the wood line. Here you go again, course layout. We have a tree line here, center of the course, another tree line. The wind comes down, in this fashion, comes over the top. You get two areas of backdrafts. Poor sending on this side, poor sending on this side over here. Retrieve in this area, very difficult. Finding birds is very difficult. Now, another thing, we get a retrieve into the woods. dogs home in on raft vapors, dead cells that float through the air. If there's no cover in there, there's nothing for these raft vapors to hang on to. Just like you see in the road, when a bird runs down the road, same deal. The raft vapors have to stick around a while so the dog can get to them and find them, unless he's right behind the dog. A bird has. So these situations over here, retrieves in the woods, are very difficult for a dog to pick up. Now we have another situation where you have bushes, another beat laid out here, of course it is. You have a situation where there's a bushes in the course. Don't plant in here. Go up further, stay short, whatever, but don't plant there. Same situation. Wind comes over the top. You might have a little backdraft, so the scent is being blown into the bushes actually. So the dog has to be on the inside of the bush. And the scent rafts, vapor rafts have to be blown through the bush, which they may not make it through. So it'd be a poor scenting situation here, a disadvantage to this dog here. Not a fair plant. In all these plants, what we're trying to do, the main reason why we got into this, is to make it fair for each dog. Number two, let's use less birds in a trial. Make it less expensive to put a trial on. You start using 30 or 40 extra birds in a trial, there's your profit and loss or whatever. And it's not fair to the dogs. It's not a true test. That's what we're talking about. Making it fair for each dog. Making it as close to a hunting situation as possible. Next, we're going to go into different types of bird planting. Before we go out to the field, I want to discuss ways to plant, pros and cons. The first sequence we'll be doing out in the field, the bird's head up, head covered with grass, light to no cover. We do this when it's absolutely necessary. We have very, very light cover or no cover. Take a handful of grass, cover the bird's head up, leave its back exposed so the scent be released from the bird. Give him a little light so he can see his way out. When it's absolutely necessary, you get in a situation where there's cover is flat, there's no place to put these birds. In the conventional planting, we do this. I don't like doing it. First of all, it's more like a pigeon trial than it is a pheasant trial. There's very few runners. In fact, the dog is right on top of the bird before he flushes. And it doesn't give the dog an opportunity to show his ability. Secondly, bird's head under his body. Bird upside down. This is the worst of all plants. You bend the heads under the bird's body. The bird's head, he's completely in the dark. There's a lot of feathers on the bottom of a bird, which reduce the amount of vapor wrap being released. Got pickups, problem with pickups. Also, the bird is startled when he hears noise, hitting a dog hitting a brush or pounding the ground. Pops up, pops his head out. He's startled and runs off. Less bird production. Number three is bird's head under his wing, bird planted upright. Some plant on his side this way, some put their feet underneath, some have them upright, completely upright, some stretch out their legs. Same situation though. Bird's head's under his wing, you got pickups. The only thing better about number 3 than number 2 is there's more scent being released from this bird because his back is exposed. A lot more scent coming out of his back. Number 4. Here's the one we've been using very successfully. Use less birds in a trial, more like a regular day's hunt, Ford's runners, less pickups by far. Bird's head's under his wing as we carry him in. We drop him in upside down and move out. Bird stays. 5th, it's a bird rolled in heavy, very heavy cover, or thick cover, I should say. I only do this when a cover is so thick the wind cannot go through the cover and push the bird set along. It just, a good example of this is heavy brome grass, thick brome grass. So we roll the bird in to give the dog an opportunity to find the bird. If you don't do this, if you drop him in, the dog's pretty got to step on the bird to find it. The dog will be fooling around with the bird scent as we roll it in, and eventually it'll come up to the bird. The cover's so heavy the bird's not going to move out of there. So I only use this when it's absolutely necessary, the rolling method. You've got to remember that bird scent are vapor rafts of dead cells coming off a bird. Raft vapors. A lot of conditions govern how these raft vapors perform or go through the air, whatever. Warm ground cover temperature, cold ground temperature, moisture in the air, dry, hot wind, which disperses the vapor barriers, dries them up, and they're gone. Different temperature, weather pressure, sometimes keeping a bird, the vapor rafts on the ground, sometimes they float up in the air, tidal winds, we talked about them, with all that moisture in them. They float right across the ground and they live forever, seems like. Cover. Raft vapors hang up on cover. We've seen areas like roads. The bird goes down the road, doesn't leave much scent. Some dogs, it's just very, very difficult to track a bird in that situation. I see other dogs which seem to have a better ability, drop their nose to the ground and pick up whatever scent lays on the ground. Now we should talk about gallery retrieves. Now, if you think there's raft vapors coming from one little bird and you got 20 people in a gallery, you've got a polluted area of extreme proportion. Now, to have a dead bird laying in a cover or on the ground, send and retrieve in this situation, he has to discriminate. He has to get through all this man scent. Raft vapors come from man. Off your head, underneath your arms, your crotch area, are major parts where raft vapors come from on a person. In the conduct of judging for Springer's Spaniel field trials, it mentions that dogs should not be sent into gallery. But we still see that happening. They knew back then there was a problem. All of a sudden we've forgotten it, I guess. But that is what the problem is. There's just too much scent going on in there. Now, in a downwind course, the gallery, the steward should keep the gallery well back, because this vapor raft from man is polluting the course. So these are things we've got to remember about raft vapors. They come from everything. Warm-blooded animals, I guess. Rats, mice, whatever, rabbits, squirrels. They also come from humans. Don't send into the gallery. It's already been covered in the conduct of judging. Now let's go on to our out in the field, where we'll show the 1 through 5 sequences of planning. Here we have our John Deere Gator that we use for bird planting, 4-wheel drive vehicle. Go just about anywhere. It eliminates, it seems any 4-wheel drive vehicle, you don't have the problems with bird planters, dogs following bird planters. It seems like you lessen it by a great deal. The only theory I can come up with is, I'll take a couple of hands of sawdust. As people with vests, as they walk along, they're bouncing and leaving a trail. Not on every given day, but when the sending is moist and damp, it seems like it's much more of a problem than a dry, windy day. But it does happen. With the planter truck, birds on a truck, planter in the vehicle, there's definitely less problems with dogs following the bird planter by an extreme amount. Much cleaner planting situation, more like an ordinary day's hunt. Less confusing to the dog. Dog's out taking faults, ghosts I call them. Not spending his time on the planter scent. When the bird's planted, leaves it, follows the planter, passes the bird. All around more of a test than a matter of luck in a trial. Next, we're going to show our crates. Have a little curve to them. Put one on top of the other. Let the hot air come out of them. Slats on the top and the side for good ventilation. If we have a rainy day, we just turn them over. Birds stay dry. Talked about stress before. If you take a crate full of birds like this and drop them, you might get pickups. They can't stand that kind of stress. You can't go into the field or drive down the field from one bird to another with a bouncy situation. You're just giving the birds too much stress. You can't do that. You're going to get pickups. Rolling birds in, you cannot smash them to the ground. They got to be done gently. They hit the ground, you put them into stress and they'll dig under. You're going to have past birds, you're going to use more birds in the trial. It's just not good planning practice. Don't do it. Now we're going to show you a planning. We have very little cover. There again, you want to take the bird out gently. Don't let him flap. Put his head under the wing, calm him down. Here we're going to take a bird. You can plant him just about anywhere. You can plant him on May Highway, as long as you clear up the head. Keep them dark. hold the legs and the wings in your hand firmly. Another thing is you don't want to hold the bird too firmly so you hurt him, because he's not, you get him down, it's going to be hard to put down, he's going to take off on you. Now we're doing it just covering their head, but we're leaving light so he can see some light. If you keep it completely dark, you're going to get a pickup. You got to wait till the bird relaxes. Slowly remove your hand. Now, a bird will stay there pretty comfortably until the dog gets pretty near on top of him. You'll get a short runner. Too much grass over their heads, you're going to have you're going to have more like a pigeon trial than a pheasant trial. This is artificial. I don't like doing it unless it's absolutely necessary. You see, I approached him very quietly. He never did move. A dog making some noise, whistles and so forth, he'd be alert and be up. Another way we've seen done, and I don't particularly care for this because it's planting the bird on top of his head. This leads to a lot of pickups and also leads for less bird production. Harvesting, I should say, from the dogs. It's upside down, lay the head underneath their body in that fashion. There's not much scent coming out of the bottom of the bird's body. There's so much feathers on it. Another thing is you'll have to have pickups because the bird is completely, his head is completely covered with his body, so it's dark. The other thing is if he hears the dog and he pops up, he's startled, and away he goes. As you can see, picking them up quietly is no problem. If he made a lot of noise, he'd pop up and away he'd go. Another way is, of course, putting their head under the wings. Some lay them on the side, some lay on the belly, same situation though. Same, stretch them out, relax them, and pull away. Same thing here again, you get pickups. Bird is startled by noise, might be in a distance. A retrieve in his beat, whatever. A retrieve from the other dog, I should say, in his beat, whatever, close by. The bird pops up, is startled by the situation it's in, and takes off. Outcome, less bird production. Okay, I'm going to show you one of the methods we've been using quite successfully. The forage runners, the birds' heads are up when we drop them in. We put their head under the wing, hold them in this fashion, gently. When we go out to our plant, or any of these plants, you go out, you cover the birds. You don't let the wind catch the bird and south the field, or a hot spot. Planting is so important in a trial. But to make it fair for every dog, hot spots are a no-no. Leaving scent for a dog to find birds, with my experience has been to use more birds. Because the dog is fooling around at the hot spot, meanwhile a bird leaving a little bit of scent, hell of a lot less than a bird carried in this position, the wind catching it. Bird moves out of that hot spot, and the dog is still fooling around at the hot spot, and the bird is gone, and it makes for lousy trials. It's not what you're going to find in a natural hunting situation. You're not going to have a bomb in one area and birds walking out of it. And that's one of the problems with bird planting. You've got to be very, very careful. There's no hot spots. There's no hot spots on the center line. There's no hot spots carrying the bird in. There's no hot spots where you plant it. You can't carry a bird in like this. You're leaving more scent than a bird down in the grass. So the dog's going to follow that scent. Meanwhile, the bird in the grass is going to have an opportunity to get away. Okay, now let's set up, Lou, and get a spot where we can show them how we drop them in. Here again, birds out of the crate, heads under the wing, we cradle them to the position we want to plant. There's times, like at the beginning of the trial, there's no wind, you might want to leave a little scent for the dog. It doesn't take much. Do not do this sort of thing. You're leaving a bomb again. If you want to leave in some scent, you just go like this. That's all you need. That's all a bird does when he walks out of them. It walks through the grass. He doesn't leave much scent. You don't have to salt the field in this fashion. You're just making a bomb, a very hot spot. The dog is going to concentrate on, the bird's going to run out of it, and you're going to cause the dog not to find a bird, or we'll have a difficult time finding it. Head under the wing, upside down. Just drop the bird in. Don't look back. Don't look back. Eyeball to eyeball, and this bird's going to fly away on it. Don't look back. This bird will stay here very comfortably. He'll be alert. The dog approaches, he'll make a beeline, leaving some scent for the dog to follow a runner. It's about as natural a situation you're going to get in a trial to ordinary hunt. Bird's got his head up, he's alert. He'll crouch down as I leave. As I drop him in, upside down, he had to turn himself upright. When he was doing that, I was leaving. I wasn't looking at him. He felt no threat. He felt safe where he was. He snuck down in the grass and stayed there. As you see, he is still staying there. This can work where you only have clumps of grass, light cover or just clumps of grass here and there. They'll stay in that one clump because that's the safest place for them to be. Next, we're going to show you how to plant birds in a roll-in method where there's heavy cover and you got to leave some scent for the dogs or they won't find it. As you see in the background, we've got pond, house, pheasant barn, and way off there in front of the barn are my dogs. On to the next field where there's a lot heavier brome grass, and we can show you the roll-in method, which I really don't like to do because of the hot spots and the chance of a bird running off. But sometimes it's necessary to roll them in. That's it, Lou. Let's go to the next field. Okay, the roll-in method. Right now is, no, I haven't got a pigeon. It's a white pheasant. Again, this method I don't like to use unless you have heavy cover. The cover I got here is not quite as heavy as I like to. You would call for a roll-in bird. You could drop a bird in here without, like the last bird we planted, last sequence I should say. Again, you're not going to throw this thing in like it's a football. What I like to do is just take it and just roll it out of my hand. Giving the bird a little roll into the cover. Bird's confused, upside down, straightens himself, and stays. But you got to remember, and I'm going to demonstrate with this handful of sawdust, when you throw that bird in, you're creating a big hot spot. From from here to the bird. Now that bird walks out of that spot, heavy cover is all right because he's going to stay there. But a light cover and you roll a bird in, or a spot where they can get out of there, you're leaving a big hot spot when you throw the bird in. Dog concentrated on his hot spot, makes a lot of noise. Bird over there scoots away. It just doesn't make for a good trial. Use more birds, confuse the dogs. It's not like a natural day's hunt. That bird thrown in there represent maybe 20 birds, 10 birds. And actually, when a bird walks out of that hot spot, it runs out, the dog is still got his mind that this is the hottest spot in the course. He's staying here and he's not finding that bird. He's not taking it out. So remember, you people who hold birds for a while, and you feed them corn. You can do that for about 2 weeks, but pheasants just don't make it on corn. They need a high protein diet to be good flyers. So if you're just throwing your money away by trying to maintain them on corn. I don't know what else to tell you, but I want my cameraman to come over here now. Here's my right-hand man, Lou. He puts up with me, believe it or not, even to all my speeches and so forth that kind of stutter every once in a while.
Bear with him.
Thank you, and go on.
Oh, I want to put one more thing. About the integrity of the bird planner. Make sure the bird planner does it right. Can we back that up, son?
I don't have to. No, I can dub it in.
You want to dub it after?
Okay, another word. I've given you a lot of information. I hope it's all used correctly. It's up to you field trial people to police your own trials. You see a planter is not behaving himself or is not planning correctly, it's up to you to blow the whistle. I was reluctant to give out this information because this is a possibility. If planters leave hot spots on purpose, somebody's got to be there to watch them. There we go. That bird's moving out. He's moving out of his hot spot. The integrity in trial, judging, bird planning, guns, is so important that everybody has to do their part to make sure it's obtained. Thank you.